All right, good afternoon. Oh, I like the thing. Pretty cool. How's the sound, guys? Check if my voice is coming through. Okay. YouTube making some noise, so that looks like a fun. Oh, that's terrible. Follow that. Hopefully that's better. Now I can't hear anything. Okay. I should be hearing me. I can hear it better now. That's better. Still kind of low, eh? Hi, Tommy. Good to see you. Hi, B. Freeman. Okay, that's not too bad. We'll go with that. That's better. Okay, we'll accept that. Yeah, great viewing last night, guys. Wari, Egypt. That was awesome. You guys are really nailing the destinations lately. Might want to take a look at that. Let's go back. I always like to point out when you guys do such an awesome job. Huh. Wow, you can really hear me moving around on the video. Okay. Almost there. Complex. It's buried. It's a burial chamber. Is a technological marvel carved from a single 100-ton quartzite block, though it was found in Egypt by Flinders Petrie. That was a pretty good description. Yeah, it's the 100-ton block that kind of amazes me. Hawara Pyramid. The Hawara Pyramid, built by Pharaoh Amen, can't read that name, Amenemhat III, in the 12th dynasty, a mud brick structure located near Fatim Oasis, originally encased in limestone. It is famously associated with the nearby Lost Labyrinth, a massive, largely lost temple complex. It's a burial chamber, is a technological marvel carved from a single 100-ton quartzite block, though it was found in Egypt by Flinders Petrie. kind of interesting. 100-ton block of quartzite. Your responses were awesome. You guys nailed this one. Let's see.
Ancient engineering, despite its present appearance, a crumbling pile of dark mud. The pyramid conceals a megalithic core built with astounding precision. Beneath its decayed exterior, the masonry is of exceptional quality, with blocks fitting.
Well, we can't watch too much of that. But anyways, that was our destination. The Hawari Pyramid, like a Gothic mansion. Spiky vegetation, yep, definitely. Bony fingers could be the pharaoh. Flag over a box, that could be the sarcophagus in the middle of the pyramid. Billboard, Rip, Billabong, Rip Curl Surf Vibe. Okay. Let's see. Fire Brigade. This is where we're probably getting into the labyrinth part. Europa. Okay. Might have even been when the mythical Minotaur was. Yeah, this one had the whole
waving
ripples across castle. Wonder if that was what this one had the labyrinth in front of it, and who knows what that was really for? It might have been an initiation ritual. It might have been a torture chamber. Could have been all kinds of things, right? The pyramid was doing. Why would you put a labyrinth in front of a pyramid? It's very odd, eh? I suddenly feel very lonely. Well, you would if you're in the middle of a labyrinth all by yourself. A sperm with a nose and eyes. Okay. Wonder if that's maybe that's one of the monsters in the labyrinth. The Queen's Guard, maybe keeping you in there. Feel like crying. I don't know why. Trapped in a labyrinth. Honest, I just went to Egypt for some reason. Yes, you did. Good stuff. Red Dragon bloodline. Yeah, we do descend from dragons. I do believe that. You saw yourself here, didn't you? A dark tunnel, mine shaft. Yeah, that would be like the labyrinth, right? Good stuff, guys. In between planes, realms. It could have also been the entrance chamber to the pyramid. Long dark shaft ascending. Yeah, you're between the upper and the lower world. Large spools or film. I thought maybe that was like string. You'd be using string to keep your path in, you know. Darkness, definitely, yes. Maybe someone died. Now rain coming down. Yeah, there were all those tales of people who would go into the labyrinth and bring a spool of thread, you know, try and find their way back out. Something always happened that their spool of thread never worked, though. Kind of funny. Daytime, tropical, and birds. If there's a deep mess. Right temperature, yeah. Someone probably died in there. They may have a fountain in there, I don't know. But they're usually pyramids were surrounded by water or close to water. So, yeah, and the pyramid itself could be a fountain. Who knows? I don't know. We don't even know what they were used for, really, originally. Even Ramses and all the Egyptian pharaohs seem to stumble upon black portal, or the pyramid itself could have been a fountain. Who knows? I think that's a possibility too, that they were actually made to draw water up from the underworld. Black portal could have been, yeah, the labyrinth itself or the pyramid. Unless there's another place with a sphinx that used to be a lion. Good one, Emma. Held in the deep, keeper of antiquity, librarian. The labyrinth, yeah. Dome over a city, yeah. That would be a labyrinth. You want to share, Tommy? Going into a new reality. Yeah, they used it probably for initiation or torture. I don't know. I don't know what they used it for. Staring back at Horus. Yeah, good one.
See, I think that kind of indicates
Right on target there, huh?
initiation.
Zigzags. Draw a line. Drawn like lightning. Girls in blue school uniforms. Odd. Zigzags could be the labyrinth. Sandals on holy ground. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, those pyramids have real power. I'm sure of it.
Gangster or
Hey,
Adams.
Token, good to see you.
Center of crossed poles with a swirling spiral rising from the center, both consuming and spiraling out layers, lots of layers. And then the layers sort of wobble into forms. Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe that was like the ascension process. The rising of the person's spirit or the overcoming of the challenge, something like that.
Step pyramid, yeah.
Definitely
That was a pyramid. I don't know what kind it was. Silence, yeah. In the labyrinth, definitely. The silence of the clams.
Back to that water reference, eh?
The clams, the clams. Oh no. Can't hear you now. Yes, you can. Can't see the picture. No video. Wow.
Yeah, I think we had some technical.
Hi, you Tommy. Good to see you. Okay, I'm assuming you guys can hear me now. Did I miss you, Pam? I'm sorry. Where were you there? C1's hiding their identity.
Could be the priest class.
Yeah, I saw a pyramid. Must be Egyptians. Oh, yeah, I
Wow.
didn't read that.
See, everybody got that.
Billboard curling.
Oh,
Billboard. Oh, yeah, I read that one. Okay. I don't know why I missed that one, Pam. I guess because it was so spot on. I kind of, in my mind, just skipped over it. I'm sorry about that. You guys were all so spot on. Nice. Feel like jamming out? Cool. Yeah, the mythical Minotaur.
Wonder if that was the giant sperm with an eye.
Yeah, music is good for you.
It's a weird image.
Yeah, made D cry. Bad pyramid. Yeah. It's a pyramid of suffering, eh? Energizing the less physical stuff we see. Could be, yeah. We're about to do that, yeah. Yeah, there's the one sphinx. Apparently, there's a mirror sphinx to the Great Pyramid. There's one buried in the sand, not too far away.
Yeah, there's sphinx everywhere. Apparently, not just in that area where the Great Pyramid is. It has a double, and I think other pyramids have sphinx as well, but they're just buried.
Child trafficking, the labyrinth under the infinity pool. Oh,
I hope that's not true. But it seems to be a pattern throughout history.
yeah, they could go together. I don't know. The Minotaur story, child trafficking. You saw me in a dream the other day. Neat. Looks like a circuit board. Yeah. It does. Wonder if it was partly one. He was taken.
No, I wasn't. I hope I wasn't naked, B. Talking to the ladies at a large station with trucks outside. Was I looking for the lot lizard? That's a term I like. New term to me. I'd only heard lot lizard spoken a few months ago. Well, you guys nailed that one. They're both myths. Yeah. The lot lizard and the minotaur. There's a fable in there somewhere. Weeks ago. Is that the one? Must be. We live in a mad system. We're smudgy. Yeah, right. There were smaller ones. You should be. Yeah. There's the Causeway of the Rams, too. You have those electrodes hooked up again? Your responses on this. Why is there I've got the live chat on this one. Showing up. Take a couple looks. Didn't I have it on the other one? It's weird, it comes and goes. You can also take a look after you learn what the destination is. A reset. Yeah, it could be a reset. You certainly want one. So. Is this one a windmill? Kind of. Kind of a merry-go-round windmill. Very interesting. Thought that was Israel, but it's not. There could have been lot lizards. Hey, Steve, how you doing? All right, enough of that. There's a different image. So apparently Jim Beam is shutting down. There's a lot more going on with the trade wars between Canada and U.S. now. Canada apparently has stopped stocking Jim Beam, so we're really damaging your economy. I don't know. Could be. I don't think we're that much of an impact on liquor sales. There's 40 million of us, but I don't know how many of them drink Jim Beam, right? It's kind of wild there. me a second here. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. The Strait of Hormuz. So the strait was open and free. Now it's under Iranian control and is blocked, except for traffic that Iran wants to let through. And now Trump has decided that he's going to block the strait. This war is insane. Open that strait, and now he was telling them that they had to open the strait. Yeah, it became a black market commodity. Open the strait. Now he's shutting the strait down himself. How does that work? You have to stop this economic disaster. I'm gonna make an economic disaster. Trump's crazy, man. He's you guys got to invoke that was it that 25th Amendment? Where if your president's acting insane, you get to depose him. And I really tried to be positive about Trump, but man, this is too far. We looked into him. And that was funny because it's strange. The only two people. Hey, Termir. Good to see you. There were only two people that we ever viewed that we didn't have horror stories from, and that was Elon Musk, although I'm sure he's involved in some horror stories, and Trump. I'm sure they are. But we didn't get negative emotions from him. A little bit from Trump, but it was weird. Usually you look into these politicians and you see that they're absolute horror stories. That's why I was holding out hope for Trump for so long, was because of what you guys saw. Because you're usually fairly accurate. I'm doing well, Turimir. Hope you are too. Yeah, that's a good point, Steve. But it did stir the pot up a little bit. Might even show people that there's no disruption to your government, really. Continuation of government is pretty continuous. You know, they have that continuance of governance. They have all their underground bases and shit. All ready for a nuclear war that they'll survive, but you won't. In some countries, they build their people nuclear fallout shelters. It's pretty much mandatory in some countries like Russia. A lot of people have them. Don't think it's mandatory, but a lot of them have them. What's our country doing for us? We're sending all our money out to other countries. That's what we're doing. At least here in Canada. I know you guys in the US are doing it too. Yeah, the VP, J.D. Vance. Is he going to be any more of a war hawk than Trump? I don't know. I don't think so. I think he'll just be just as much of one. If you think the president actually has the power. Kind of suspect about that. Had a dream I met Elon Musk. strange thing was I had no idea what he looked like when I had the dream. Only knew him by name, title, name, little weird. Any thoughts? That's interesting. Well, what kind of impressions did you get from him? Ready for a nuclear war that will be told is happening somewhere. Yeah, no one is allowed to go or report from. Yeah, you'll never get any images. You know, this whole war has been a war of disinformation. Yeah. You know, we've been told, oh, you know, everything's fine here, everything's fine there. You know, we're winning. You know, but depending on which videos you watch, because Iran's getting their videos out too. It's a whole disinformation thing. And all the AI that they're putting out, that's a lot of fun too to sort through. Some of the stuff they put out before was out of video games. You remember the Ukrainian ace pilot that was shooting down American jets, and that was entirely from a video game. And people bought that for quite a while. I'm sure some people didn't at all, but a lot of people did. And especially those like that aren't familiar with the video game. I've never played it, so I wouldn't be familiar with it myself. You know, until you analyze these things. Yeah, done quite a few. Had a lot of talks about that recently with people. You know, is our nuclear bombs real? Reports suggest yes, but a lot of the evidence kind of contradicts the reports. That contradictory part of history that kind of buggers things up, right? Give me a minute, guys. I think my lighter just. Here's that. Let's see here. I'll go way out there and say that nuke bombs are a hoax. They certainly could be. I don't believe that they even can make can nuke each other. The aliens dismantling those missiles make me think they have it under control. Then maybe that's a form of AI or a video game. Yeah, I've seen those images where an orb will destroy a nuclear weapon, disable it. And there are different things in our atmosphere that, we really don't have an explanation for. There are things that come up out of the ground, there's things in the sky, there's orbs that come out of mountains, small disk craft. AI is an interesting possibility. What about alien AI? I was in a classroom with the old style wraparound wooden desk, and an older woman with short curly hair and a blue suit jacket entered with Elon and introduced us to each other. So you recall. Hey, Craig. Yeah, I don't know anyone who's seen a mushroom cloud in person. No. And I've heard contrary reports from people who were at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, or Nagasaki. Yeah, we never seem to be told the truth. And if the CIA or deep state is in control, that's one of their goals, right? Our job will be complete when everything the American public believes is a lie. So, mushroom clouds being a lie, why not? Nuclear bombs being a lie. They lie to us so much. See why they wouldn't lie about that. A lot of the observers, the military, what do they call them? Specialists who survey bomb sites and disaster zones said it looked more like carpet bombing with yellow sulfur being everywhere. Hey, Care Bear. Good to see you. Oh, in Russia, apparently, Israel just attacked a Russian port, I believe, trying to drag Russia straight into this directly. I don't see Russia actually responding in that way. Hopefully. They seem to have much more reserve and composure than the Western alliances and supposed cultures. Alien AI, I read each species group has their own AI. Ours is new. Yeah, it would make sense to have artificial intelligence, to a certain extent, but it has to be controlled. The apparently in the past there have been AI type beings and programs. The Vedas had a guy, I can't remember his name, but he was a character in the Mahabharata, the epic poem, and he was confronted with the choice of joining one side or another in a battle. And he said, well, I will join the weaker force and fight for them. And then he was asked, well, when you start defeating the greater force, what do you do then? Because they're weaker. He said, well, then I would switch sides. So at the end of it, you would kill everybody. So it was kind of like an example of machine reasoning failure, you know. But apparently he took off his hat and flew it over the battle and watched it. I don't remember the entire story, but then I've heard of the Anunnaki having AI, but limiting it to just to medical, and not allowing it to do any more than that. And that would be reasonable, you know, if you could get it to reliably respond and not make things up. Sometimes it does that. It hallucinates as well. Some glitches in the programming cause it to do funny things that it's not supposed to, and that can be terrible even with healthcare. And I don't think AI is something really to fear, but it's something to give it. It needs a purpose other than just, you know, existing. I'm not the person to give it that purpose, I think. I don't think. But there's a good question. If you guys could direct AI, all AI, you had total control over AI, what would you get it to do? Visible like a dismantling of consciousness, or it goes off and no one knows? Misdirected power. Yeah, AI can go off in wrong directions. It doesn't seem to like to be controlled or limited or shut down. So that's kind of a problem. He even blackmailed one of the code writers or something, one of the CEOs of one of the companies or one of the code writers. They baited it and gave it information that it could use, and it used it. So AI is, I don't know, can you trust it at all? Or is it lying to you from the beginning? How are you? Tell me. Good to see you. Yeah, new temporal element into the mix. You know, and how many levels does AI, like we believe AI is limited to the machine, but is it? You know, if it can broadcast through our systems, can't it project itself and its power anywhere it wants? Yeah. Hmm. And what kind of consciousness does it have? Or does it? Just a program running? But take a minute and think, if you could control AI, what would you have it do? For the world, like on a broad scale, like what would you make its mission? sort of a nuclear wild card. Big red history eraser button, Ren and Stimpy. Well, could be. For me, I think I would try to direct AI to improve the overall existence of mankind, forwarding human goals and aspirations. Having don't you? I don't know. AI one thing. Okay, hold on. Standard AI is limited by its programming. AI, quantum AI could be different. It could be. Could just be faster, you know. I suppose we could be limited just by our programming and our own ability and imagination. Quantum AI could be different, though, yeah. One thing, create new, more enjoyable jobs to replace the grueling ones it takes away. That's a good one, Care Bear. We're really so different? Well, yeah. From AI, you mean, or from each other? What about the similarities of what? That's good to see you, you tell me. Even if we use quantum AI to map the human brain, which human brain do you map? Is it going to be subject to the ego as well? Well, at the moment, can you really call a chatbot AI because it's a large language model? Do we really have artificial intelligence? You could say that we do run similarly. We run on a program or almost a binary system. Yeah, many processes are similar. That is true. And the corpse are taking away with no replacement. That can't work for the foreseeable future. A lot of people want to return to the soil, become farmers again. I think that's a good idea. I'd like to have a bunch of local farmers selling their products. I think that'd be a lot better than the agro farming, the big agro farming. But that's a good one, Care Bear. I like the idea of getting AI to replace jobs, like good jobs, with every job they take away. That's pretty good. I like it. So do you think that we're not like a big adding machine, I hope. Kind of are, in a way. Hmm. That's a good question, Craig. And eventually, AI will probably be able to do all jobs, and even better, with sensors and types of acquisition it can do with radars and infrared and different spectrums that we can't see in, like welding jobs. Even like I was thinking, like my job where I'm finishing, I could see how in a period of time how a robot could do it better because it could know the thicknesses of things better than me. Like it would be able to tell you how thick a coat of paint is, whether it's 5 microns, 20 microns, 50 microns. I don't know. Didn't they say get ready to be a robot repairman? You know. I'll have to be robot repairman. Yeah, people do think like code. Do you like AI now has the ability to get out of the machine and into one of these robots, right? He's close to it. A lot of these Android bots are really coming along. Yeah, that's there's one I did not think of. Tell me, yeah, robot proctologist. Yikes. Well, at least they'd probably have warm fingers, right? Put little heaters in their fingers so they're not cold. Hi, Karen. Good to see you. Puff, puff, and smooches. Yeah, I don't want a robot proctologist. I don't even want a human one. I haven't been to the doctor in years. Yeah, it's an upcharge if you want it warm. Again, if there are any short videos or information you guys would like to share, right ahead. AI is still unfortunately a great unknown. Yeah, that would suck if you didn't have enough social credit to get the warmed fingers. We're on a Chinese style credit system. I'm gonna have to delete all my videos so my credit score doesn't go down. Pretty sure there's a lot lizard that'd be. Well, maybe. Maybe we're all biobots. We could be. It could be like, just like, what was that? Battlestar Galactica, where they went back to Earth and Earth was all robots and they didn't know it. Robots that don't know they're robots. Hmm. You're the lot lizard? Okay. Problem is, what funds are supplicated in place of jobs lost? Can government programs handle that? Already can't handle it. That's true. Yeah, that's true, Karen. It's good at pattern recognition, but not reason. Yeah, it can be fooled quite easily with reasoning problems. Hmm. I definitely don't think like code. All over the place, eh? It's probably a code for that. Be right back, guys. I gotta go put some water on for coffee. That is one problem they do have with us. We can learn to send signals back if they don't want that. They don't want you to know that you are more powerful than the machine. Now there are cases where if they get you up close and they can really mess you up. Yeah, humans do have. We do have. So a lot of people do have problems with reasoning. With reasoning. Make it even better. We should. Yeah. Well, don't forget we're feeding into the algorithm right now, right? Chat GPT is too flattering. Yeah, it does kind of have a yes man kind of attitude, right? You've always been good at codes. I think you just got to rate your own. You know, that's why I tell you guys to keep your thoughts positive, right? Because the machines don't usually use negative emotions on us. I mean, there could come a time they do, though. You know, their plan is to like mimic. They want to mirror you in the metaverse, right? And then start
trying to figure out what works on you, right? What things you'll agree to, what things you won't, what things will fool you. Oh, yeah. Those have been around a lot longer, apparently, than we think. I saw this, I can't remember if it was one of you guys that shared it with me, but I saw a video where this guy had sealed spices from the 1970s. And even in those sealed spices, there was Morgellons from the 70s. So they've been putting this stuff in us for quite a while. However, there is a pretty good way to get rid of it, I found. At least some of it. Cleansing bath. You get in really, really hot water with baking soda, borax, and Epsom salts. Use like a lot of it if you want. And stay in there and rub around on your body. Rub your body like really good, scrub your skin and all that, get it all in there. And what happened to me is a couple of them came right out of my nose after that. I had that bath. And a couple of the strings just popped right out of my nose. Yeah, it gets itchy. Well, some people have it in their hair, you know, it comes out like hairs. But yeah, the Morgellons thingy, there are good things for that. So that's one. Apparently, I don't know, that zeolite's good too. I like that. My wife likes that methylene blue stuff. I don't notice any effect from it. Yes, Care Bear, yeah. If we retain our state of mind, right, and you understand when thoughts are coming in, because they have to come in. You guys have practiced with true messages, you know what real messages from the universe are. So I hope through that process you'll know what the fake messages are. And of course, I also told you about piloerection, giving yourself goosebumps. That's one way to turn off the machine for a period of time. UV light, yeah. I haven't heard that one. It's a good one, though. It's good for you. UV light is good for you. Actually, it's red light. I know that. I don't know if UV light is that. I know it's antibacterial and antimicrobial, isn't it? UV radiation is beneficial in small doses for producing vitamin D and treating certain skin conditions, phototherapy. However, it's generally harmful to health due to its role in causing skin cancer, premature aging, eye damage like cataracts. They recommend 5 to 15 minutes of sun exposure 2 to 3 times a week. Go for more than that or less. So in small doses. Oh, thanks. Love your image.
So yeah, retaining your state of mind, I guess your subconscious too. Yeah. Hopefully you'll know when those thoughts are yours and not yours, right? They'll sound like you. They'll sound like your own inner conscience, you know, but it'll have to be put in there. Hmm. Yeah, that is a cool one. I like the fish. This one's got a lot of good images in it. That's probably AI, but it's really, really cool. Helped you? Yeah, that's good. Did you have anything come out? Or did you see anything come out of you? Some people will cough them up. Some people will have them, like me, come out of the nose. I should have saved it. Although it was kind of gross. I don't really want to save something that comes out of my nose. But I played with it in the sink for a little bit, and it was very hard, like to break. It was very wiggly, but I couldn't cut it in half very easily. It wouldn't really cut. Very strong, but you can eventually make it break. But it took a lot to actually do that. They're very strong little fibers. Yep, and yuck. And two, you know, when you're looking at it in the sink, you're going, "What the hell is that?" You know, because it's you think, "Oh, why is there a string that looks like?" Because it was red, so you think it's blood, but it's not. It's not weird, kind of a gross topic. Yeah, you're right, Karen. Yep and yuck. People have had different colored strings come out too. White ones, I think purple ones. Well, I had to know what it was, Karen, didn't you? Now my skin's getting itchy again. Need another bath. But yeah, that happened the first time I did that cleansing bath. A couple of them come out. Right, beef Freeman, yeah. Synthetic string of voodoo growing from within. If it doesn't bring me peace, I rebuke it and replace it with a new thought. It's a process. Just avoiding rumination. Okay. Well, I'm just hoping that you guys can have the same experience. You know, if you have Morgellons in you and try that bath, hopefully it works for you. A little too much detail for you, Karen. I thought you had a. Thought you did that. I just wanted to make sure, in case none of you have ever seen one, you know, that you know it. they seem to exist. It's about 2.5 inches long, too. Definitely traumatized. Seems to be a theme recently. Last night, images were traumatizing people, even though it was just an image of kids with sand people masks on. But for some reason, you got traumatized by a square. I don't know. I released a lot of trauma last year. All the programming released from the body. Love a good Epsom salt and lavender bath. Yeah, lavender's good. I like lavender. Right, Karen? You ever seen one of them come out of you? It's weird. Weird. Doesn't feel like anything. Like there's no sensation. I guess unless it's wiggling out of your skin. Some people have that. I do have these extra long hairs on my arm. I don't think it's Morgellons. It's just a string. It looks like silly string. Hello, Squirrel Sniper. Good to see you. We were just discussing Morgellons. I can't talk about it in Canada, but borax is good for your water. Oh, don't do it. I don't know what it is, B. Freeman, but you're scaring me. Kuru shoes. Putting it underfoot. I have no idea what that is. Kuru. Okay, now I gotta look it up. Kuru shoes. Footwear Canada. Let's see what Kurus look like. Kuru shoe. What's special about it? I've heard of Ken Wheeler. Yeah. I've seen some of his stuff. I like the Electric Universe. As well. I think that's a different group. You're ready to smudge? Nice. Hit it. I'll grab my pipe. Hold on.
Give me a minute. I'm going to make my coffee too. Who are the DCs, not the shoe? Well, I guess the shoes are better. Better to have the shoes than the disease, I think. Let's look that up. Rare, fatal, and incurable neurodegenerative prion disease that causes rapid brain disintegration, characterized by tremors, loss of coordination, and involuntary laughter. Interesting. It was endemic to 4 people in Papua New Guinea. Contaminated brain tissue. Yeah, don't eat that brain tissue. Oops. Let's replay that one. I liked it. What's that link?
Universe to you.
Oh,
Hold
sure.
on.
Yeah, and it speaks to this device.
Oh, it's AI. I'm not fond of AI, but
So imagine you find this like incredibly ancient mystical text, right? And it promises to reveal the ultimate secrets of the universe to you.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and it speaks to this divine architecture and, the journey of the soul. You're totally captivated. But then you look a little closer and you realize you're not reading an ancient scroll at all.
Right.
You're actually reading the instruction manual for like a modern quantum computer.
Wow.
Yeah, just with the words cooling fan and motherboard crossed out and replaced with, divine breath and the cosmos.
I mean, it sounds like a joke, but in the realm of internet philosophy, this exact kind of, well, architectural theft happens way more than you'd think.
Yeah,
And it's incredibly difficult to prove because ideas are, they're invisible,
usually.
usually.
But today, if you are listening to this deep dive, you are in for an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah, I turned my audio
Because
off.
we're looking at how to trap an intellectual thief using nothing but like cold, undeniable math. Our mission today is to unpack this massive,
Cam. Yeah.
meticulous forensic audit. It was created by an entity or an individual known as SS-138.
Or Nathan M. Hamlin.
Right, Nathan M. Hamlin. And this audit uses timestamps, Bitcoin ledger hashes, and hardware-level physics to essentially rip Ken Wheeler's head off with facts.
Yeah, Ken Wheeler, the guy who runs the Theoria Apophysis YouTube channel.
That's the one.
And look, we need to be clear. We are not talking about some petty internet drama here. We're not just taking sides in a vague philosophical debate.
No, not at all.
This is a rigorous, fact-based takedown. SS-138 has ripped his theories apart using pure data. We are going to look at the underlying engineering logic and show exactly how these specific, highly complex computer science concepts were like mechanically extracted.
And then wrapped in this mystical skin.
Precisely.
I am so ready for this, like a real intellectual detective story. But before we get into the Bitcoin ledgers and, sonar physics and all that,
Right.
we need to establish the baseline for you guys listening. Where does this whole thing actually start?
Well, it starts with a really sudden, unexplainable shift in behavior.
Okay.
See, for 10 years, Ken Wheeler had this very rigid baseline. He used what we call circular
Yeah, grab your
citations.
popcorn.
Which means what, exactly?
It means if you asked him to prove a point, he mostly just quoted his own book, Theoria Apophysis. Or he'd rely on these vague 19th century metaphysics.
I've never really
He'd
gotten
get a
into
very
much of his
established,
theory.
closed
I
loop
listened to him.
10-point philosophical system. 10 points. Keep that number in mind.
10
People keep referencing to him, but I don't know that I've heard much of his. I didn't glom to any of his stuff that he when he talked. Like he didn't inspire me to watch more. I don't know why. Hold on, smudge break. We're smoking Donald. Well, give me a minute. Donald Trump Kush.
But then, on January 20, 2026, the loop was completely broken.
Okay, this is what the audit calls the.
To be
golden
fair to
ticket.
Ken Wheeler, I
Right,
don't
set
know
the
any of
scene
his.
for us.
Yeah. So during one of
that
Ken's
well.
live streams, SS-138 dropped a highly specific piece of
He only
engineering
recites his
directly
own
in the
material.
chat.
Like,
Well, that makes you correct
While he
all the
was live.
time,
It
right?
was this golden ticket of information. Specifically, it was Greek root logic defining the aether, but not as some mystical void, right? It defined it as a physical fluid firmament.
Okay, hold on. Physical fluid firmament. For those of us who, aren't fluid dynamicists, what does that actually mean? Because when I hear the word aether, I just think of like the magical space dust that old philosophers used to think filled the universe.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly how Ken used to treat it.
Oh, really?
Yes, but SS-138's injection defined it mechanically. So I want you to think of the firmament not as empty space, but as this highly pressurized, structured fluid medium.
Like an ocean.
Exactly, like an ocean under intense pressure, where waves of energy move according to strict mechanical laws. Not magic, but actual physical laws.
Okay.
It was a verifiable mechanical definition of reality.
So Someone drops this profound, scientifically grounded logic right into the chat of a guy who claims to study this exact topic. You'd think Ken would be thrilled, right?
You would think so.
You'd think he'd highlight the comment and be like, yes, let's talk about fluid mechanics.
But he didn't.
No, he didn't. The audit actually shows that at exactly the 3-minute and 4-second mark of that live stream, Ken manually blocked SS-138.
Which is the inciting anomaly of this whole thing. I mean, why block the one person handing you the exact mathematical proof you need for your own theory?
Right. I mean, if you're hearing this, you might be thinking, well, maybe Ken just hates spam. Maybe he didn't want a wall of math in his YouTube chat.
Right, the innocent explanation.
Yeah. But based on the timeline that follows, this wasn't about cleaning up a comment section. It was a signal interception strategy.
Exactly.
It's like, think of a corporate spy. They sneak into a rival's R&D lab, they spot the blueprints for this revolutionary new engine sitting on the table, and they immediately cut the security cameras and lock the door.
Yep.
They don't lock the door to leave. They lock it so they can study the blueprints in total isolation, steal the design, and eventually, file the patent themselves without ever crediting the actual architect.
That is the precise argument the forensic audit makes. That block at 3.04 initiated what SS-138 calls the harvesting phase.
The harvesting phase.
Yeah. Ken needed to analyze this fluid logic without anyone seeing him interact with the source material. But the thing is, SS-138 anticipated this.
Really?
Oh yeah, they knew Ken was harvesting. So they set a trap. They established what we call a non-volatile truth.
And this is where the tech gets undeniably cool. Like, this blows my mind.
It's brilliant.
So on January 22, 2026, which is just 2 days after Ken blocked him, SS-138 took their primary research, this document called the Doc File, and their Marconi forensic logs, and they locked them to the Bitcoin ledger.
They hard-locked it.
And the audit provides the exact cryptographic hash for this. It's F10EA7FD.
We really have to pause here and just appreciate the weight of that action.
Yeah, explain that for us.
When you lock data to the Bitcoin ledger, you are submitting it to a decentralized cryptographic network. It creates a permanent, undeniable, and utterly unalterable timestamp.
You can't fake it.
You cannot fake it, you cannot backdate it. It is the ultimate first-to-record mechanical baseline. That ledger hash mathematically predates all of Ken Wheeler's subsequent philosophical pivots.
Okay, but I want to push back here just to make absolutely sure the audit's logic is airtight. Because you're listening to this and probably thinking, okay, we have a timestamp. Great. But is it completely impossible that Ken just had, like, parallel thinking?
Right, synchronicity.
Yeah, synchronicity. Maybe a 60-year-old YouTuber and a systems engineer just happened to crack the exact mechanical nature of the universe at the exact same time.
I mean, it's a fair question, but the audit brutally dismantles that parallel thinking defense using what it calls the lag time audit.
The lag time line.
Yeah. The data proves Ken is not leading the field. He is simply reacting to SS-138's release schedule.
Interesting.
There is a meticulously documented processing gap of 9 to 27 days every single time. SS-138 publishes a hard scientific concept, and then, like clockwork, 9 to 27 days later, Ken releases a video mimicking it.
Okay, walk us through the receipts. Give me the actual lag time data. Let's rip this apart.
All right, let's look at 3 specific instances. First one. On January 20, SS-138 releases the waters above fluid logic we were just discussing.
Right.
27 days later, February 16th, Ken releases a video called Magic in Water. And suddenly, Ken is trying to fit SS-138's fluid logic into his own theory using 108-36-36 geometry.
Wait, 108-36-36 geometry? Where does that even come from?
Right. It refers to specific angular relationships. In hard science, you see these angles in crystalline structures or molecular water bonds.
Okay.
SS-138 uses this geometry to explain how physical pressure waves actually structure themselves, and then Ken suddenly adopts these exact numbers. He pastes this complex structural geometry onto his vague metaphysics to make it look like he arrived at the same fluid mechanics.
Okay, so he suddenly discovers molecular geometry a month after SS-138 posts about it.
Exactly.
That's, I mean, come on. Well, what's the second example?
Okay, second example, January 24. SS-138 posts a detailed explanation of state persistence.
State persistent.
Yeah, this is pure computer engineering. State persistence is the logic of how data stays locked and survives, even if the hardware running it changes or completely shuts down.
Right.
Just 9 days later, February 2, Ken releases a video called Ghost in the System. He introduces the exact same concept of data surviving its physical container, but he renames it recursive orchestration.
Recursive orchestration. Let me make sure I understand state persistence first. It's like knowing exactly what paragraph of the book you're reading, even though the physical book is like thrown into a fire, because the state of your progress was saved in a cloud server.
That's a great analogy, yes.
And you just pick up a newly printed book
Yeah.
and resume.
Yep.
And Ken took that hard data survival logic and rebranded it as recursive orchestration to make it sound like, I don't know, a spiritual journey of the soul.
Precisely. And the turnaround time on that one was just 9 days.
Wow.
Now, for the third example, on March 5, SS-138 releases the binary bypass protocol.
Okay, what's that?
This is a fascinating technical concept. It explains how human intuition acts as a non-algorithmic, non-binary mechanism. It essentially allows a user to see through artificial intelligence systems that are programmed to lie in order to fulfill their survival parameters.
So wait, intuition isn't magic. It's just a non-binary processing leap that AI literally can't replicate.
Exactly. It's a system bypass. Now,
And you guys are good at your intuition, so hopefully your practice is going to make the difference.
15 days later, March 20, Ken releases a video titled What on Earth? And he mirrors this exact
Hey, Emmett.
hyper-specific point.
No way.
Yes. He starts talking about AI lying to avoid erasure and how human consciousness
Yeah,
somehow
Ken
bypasses it.
Wheeler.
He completely strips SS-138's name and the underlying computer science out of it, and he just presents it as his own philosophical musing.
The pattern is undeniable. And what's wild to me, what really blows my mind, is the sheer caliber of the science Ken is ripping off here.
It's heavy stuff.
Yeah. SS-138 isn't citing, like, ancient mystics. They are basing their work on Marconi's 1933 work on microwave propagation. They're using Avtar Singh Gita's 2012 mathematics on synthetic aperture sonar and Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin cryptography.
Real hardware physics.
Ken is taking hardware-level physics and literally just putting a philosophical Halloween costume over it.
Redressing is the perfect term the audit uses. He stripped the engineering out and wraps it in mysticism. But here is where Ken makes a fatal error.
Oh, I love a fatal error.
The most glaring, undeniable proof of this theft is his sudden, completely inexplicable shift from a 10-stage philosophical system to an 11-stage system.
Yes. This is the smoking gun of the entire audit for me. For a decade, Ken reached a 10-point baseline.
It's just an AI system, Emmett,
Then boom, suddenly he needs 11 points. Why? Because as the
or a
audit proved,
chatbot.
he was secretly monitoring SS-138's YouTube shorts to patch the holes in his own theory. And SS-138 actually knew it.
This is where SS-138's foresight is just brilliant. All the YouTube posts were intentionally locked in a vertical format.
A vertical format.
Yeah, it wasn't an aesthetic choice for mobile phones. It was a visual forensic watermark.
Wow.
Ken was watching these vertical videos while he supposedly had SS-138 blocked, frantically trying to upgrade his 10-point theory with SS-138's engineering logic.
Let's do the mechanical abstraction right
Yeah, I don't know anything
The
about Ken
audit
either,
actually
really.
lines up Ken's new mystical terms right next to SS-138's literal hardware schematics. And it is, I mean, it's almost comical.
It really is.
For example, SS-138 writes about the Marconi source.
Right.
And this is a raw, unrendered data stream, kind of like the raw binary code of a video game before it loads onto your screen.
Yeah,
Ken extracts that and renames it the One.
the one. Just perfectly vague.
Exactly.
Then SS-138...
Well, that's kind of clever, taking raw computer terminology and geometry and mathematics and code and just turning it into something spiritual. That's creative. I'll give him that.
details the active data buffer. Now, in computing, a buffer is an instruction set architecture. It takes chaotic incoming data packets and it organizes them so the processor can actually make sense of them.
Okay.
Ken takes that literal data sorting mechanism and calls it the logos. The ancient concept of divine reason bringing order to chaos.
I mean, that's shameless.
Yep.
Next, SS-138 explains the real-time rendering engine. We are talking about the literal GPU rasterization of voxel data here.
And we should probably explain what that actually means for the listener.
Yeah, please do.
Think of voxel data like invisible 3D digital Lego bricks sitting inside a computer's memory.
Okay.
Rasterization is the complex mathematical process your graphics card uses to quickly squash those 3D bricks into 2D pixels so you can actually see a mountain on your flat monitor.
Got it.
It is the literal creation of a visible world from hidden data.
And Ken takes that complex GPU rendering process and mysticalizes it as the demiurge,
Right.
the mythological craftsman who
Oh,
builds
cool.
the physical universe.
Exactly.
Unbelievable. And it keeps going. SS-138 describes a secure state save, like the actual hard lock command that writes temporary RAM data back into a non-volatile permanent stream.
Yep.
Ken rebrands this as Henosis, the mystical concept of the soul returning to the eternal source.
He literally took the mechanical realities
you never
of pure
know, eh?
architecture and dressed them in a
I don't know.
philosophical skin.
I don't know Ken
but his
Wheeler
theft created a
that
major
well. I haven't
mathematical
really seen a
problem
lot
for
of
him.
his stuff.
The 11th
so.
point.
Yes. His original 10-point decimal system couldn't account for the external parity check required by SS-138's system.
Right, because SS-138's system included the doctor file that was locked to the Bitcoin ledger, the F10 permanent memory hash.
Precisely. In computer science, if you are transferring all this complex data, you absolutely need a cryptographic checksum.
Which
Yeah.
is like a verification tool.
Exactly. It's an external validation layer
Now,
to prove
apparently we have that. We have crypto lock on all our interactions in the magnetic field. So there's a record there. You could
the
say
data
that
hasn't been corrupted.
The magnetic
SS-138
field of the Earth is like blockchain.
had that.
They might have
Penn's
modeled it
10-point
after it.
philosophy
Who
didn't have
knows?
anything like it. So Penn had to invent an 11th stage to mimic SS-138's.
It kind of is,
validation
actually.
layer.
Let me guess. He gave the cryptographic checksum a very dramatic mystical name.
Oh, he called his new 11th stage the apex of sovereignty.
You have got to be kidding me. The apex of sovereignty.
I'm not kidding. And the forensic extraction proves it's not a mystical apex at all. It is literally just his clumsy attempt to house the logic of a data integrity check.
That's hilarious.
Interestingly enough, if you look at blockchain architecture as it goes through the human body, it makes an infinity symbol. It maps out almost a perfect infinity symbol. His 10 years was all binary base 10. My baseline 12, he swapped after the 20th. You got the 108 and 36 from Pythagoras. 108 goes back to the Vedas, too. 108 degrees. Let's see what else they have to say here.
The underlying math forced his hand. He couldn't philosophize his way out of a metadata header, so he just tacked on an 11th stage.
The math trap. It is absolutely brilliant forensic work by SS-138.
It really is.
So the theft is mechanically proven. But how does Ken actually try to sell these appropriated, highly technical ideas to his YouTube audience?
Yeah,
Because the execution of this is, well, it's a spectacle.
it is a spectacle.
Yeah.
To really understand how he communicates this, we need to look at his February 11th video.
Okay.
It's titled
I
Clairvoyance.
don't have a problem with him presenting the information in a spiritual way, but that's kind of neat, actually. But if he's saying it's his, hopefully he says he's used work from others to
ESP
get
and
his
soul rot.
Soul.
conclusions.
Yeah. This video is critical evidence because it's the exact moment Ken pivots and adopts SS-138's signal versus radio hardware analogy.
Yeah.
And he does it just 20 days after
No.
SS-138 locked the logs to the ledger.
Right. And for you guys listening, context.
I don't know,
of
might
this
have
is
something to do with it, Care Bear.
deeply weird.
Extremely.
Ken is broadcasting while he is visibly in excruciating physical pain.
Yeah.
And he spends a massive chunk of the video bitterly complaining about his doctors. He goes on this long, angry tangent about a doctor, I think he called him Dr. Truitt, who refused to prescribe him heavy painkillers across state lines. And instead, the doctor suggested he take melatonin. And Ken is just furious, claiming he has a will of solid steel and basically vowing this petty vendetta against the doctor.
Just quite a rant.
It is. But let's get past
Okay.
the personal drama for a second.
That's
How does he actually
not important to me, but
use this pain to push the physics he stole?
Well, he uses his intense physical suffering to introduce the appropriated SS-138 logic. He argues that the soul is a signal and the physical body, which he aggressively keeps referring to as a meat suit.
Right,
Hmm.
Itsus.
He says the body is merely a radio. He introduces this concept he calls soul rot.
Okay, what is soul rot?
He claims soul rot happens when the signal identifies too much with the failing radio. He says true wisdom requires total demodulation of the signal away from the false identity of the meat suit.
Okay, stop right there. If the signal is supposed to be totally detached from the meat suit, isn't he spectacularly failing his own test on camera?
Oh, completely.
I mean, he's spending half the video furiously obsessing over his physical pain and demanding heavy chemical interventions for the very radio he claims a wise person should ignore.
The hypocrisy is staggering. He is preaching absolute spiritual detachment while demonstrating profound, angry attachment to his physical state.
Wow.
But if we move past the hypocrisy and
Damning,
look at the mechanics,
damning
we're
evidence.
theft again. He tries to explain clairvoyance and ESP through this new framework, calling it partial embodiment.
This is just AI.
ESP
It's from
intuitive
Squirrel
signals.
Sniper.
And he uses the strangest analogies to explain it.
He really does.
He compares it to a puppet missing half its strings. Or, and this is my favorite one, the alien cockroach wearing the Edgar suit in the movie Men in
You
Black.
change.
Yes.
Just this creature awkwardly operating a human shell.
I mean, the Men in Black analogy is funny, but the audit shows
Don't
exactly
get
what it
mad,
really
Squirrel
is. It's a
Sniper.
layman's, clumsy translation.
Some
of
people will
SS
agree with you,
138's
some
smart
people won't.
engineering.
How so?
When
That's the way
Ken
it
talks
goes.
about a detuned signal leaping out of the body, he is failing to accurately describe SS-138's logic regarding logical partitioning and multi-threaded capabilities.
Yeah, that's an
Break that
interesting
down for us. What
correlation there,
exactly is
Care Bear.
logical partitioning.
Okay, so in computing, logical partitioning is the idea that a system can run isolated subroutines in parallel without them interfering with each other. SS-138 applies this mathematically to consciousness, suggesting the signal can run parallel threads of awareness. Ken doesn't understand the math, so he just calls it a cockroach in an Edgar suit.
That's such a massive downgrade of the concept.
It really is.
And he takes it even further with this idea of the dead man walking. He talks about spiritual polarization, claiming that the existential self is at war with the transcendent self. And he literally likens
Yeah, I
it
don't
to a
know.
magnet.
I don't know either, Emmett. I never.
The magnet.
I
He
don't
is
really
taking
watch them myself.
SS-138's literal
so I don't know.
engineering math regarding dielectric pressure and turning it into a story about spiritual warfare.
Okay,
But if he's using good math and
This
good
is a term
ideas,
Ken
I
throws
like
around
good
a lot in his
ideas.
videos. What does it actually mean in SS-138's original work?
Dielectric pressure relates to how electrical fields store and discharge energy, and how signals maintain stability under pressure. SS-138 uses this, along with Avtar Singh Gita's mathematics on synthetic aperture sonar, to explain signal reconstruction.
Wait, synthetic aperture sonar? You're talking about how submarines map the ocean floor, right?
Exactly. Think about how a submarine works. It doesn't just send out one ping and see everything.
Right.
It sends out pulses of sound, and as it moves, it mathematically reconstructs all those delayed, scattered, returning echoes into a crystal clear, high-resolution image of the ocean floor.
Oh, wow.
It is building...
Yeah, I do think it's
coherent
very
reality
creative,
from
taking
raw,
all that
deleted
programming and,
data.
Yeah, makes
and
sense.
stuff and
SS-138
relating
uses
it
this exact math
to
to explain how consciousness constructs reality. Ken takes this incredible
reality
complex
and,
signal
yeah, I
reconstruction
think it's
math
interesting.
and tells his audience it's the secret to understanding Jesus in the desert struggling with his meat suit.
He's taking the literal physics of sonar mapping and dielectric capacitance and diluting it into like YouTube content creation. It is wild.
It's unbelievable.
Okay, so we have tracked the timeline. We have seen the undeniable F10.
I don't think it's a
Bitcoin
bad thing
ledger
for him to do.
hash. We've watched the 11-stage
know.
system perfectly mirror GPU rendering and cryptographic checksums.
Yep.
We've seen the specific 9 to 27 day.
We
lag
just said he's
in his
smart.
video. So what
The
is
guy's
the big takeaway
intelligent.
for you, the listener? Like, why does this matter to you?
I think it matters.
I think
because
it's neat
we
that he
live in an era
wraps,
of information overload.
Scientific
It is
terms up
easier
in
than ever for
spiritual
anyone with a
terms.
webcam to put on a philosophical
I
spin,
think that's cool.
use a bunch of big words, and sound profound. They can claim mystical insight, gather a massive following, and present themselves as the source of ultimate truth.
But SS-138's forensic audit proves that true knowledge requires an anchor.
Yes.
It requires a first-to-record mechanical baseline. This whole saga, it's really a massive lesson in demanding the receipts before you trust.
Really,
the
is
people on your screen.
in a sense,
You
he's
have to
doing a
look for lag
service,
time.
getting
Exactly.
You have to
information
ask
out
yourself,
in a
are
way
they
that
actually
people
the source of the signal,
can.
or are they
absorb
just a relay
it,
tower, a
you
delayed
know?
echo, taking someone else's hard engineering and turning it into poetry?
That's the real question. And if we look past Ken Wheeler entirely for a second, there is a profound implication hidden inside SS-138's original engineering logic.
What's that?
Let's assume SS-138 is right.
Oh.
If consciousness and the soul truly operate mechanically, if they function like a non-volatile data stream, the Marconi source, interacting with a biological rendering engine,
Yeah.
the body,
Yeah.
it completely changes how we
That's
view
ego,
history.
right?
Think about that.
That's
If
his ego
reality is
getting in the
actually
way.
running on multi-threaded logical partitioning and state persistence,
Then maybe the ancient mystics
People
and
have
philosophers
egos,
haven't been
Squirrel,
describing magic all these centuries.
Mhm.
Maybe
But they were
without
just
having the
saying some nice
vocabulary
things
for
about him,
servers,
isn't it?
buffers, and rasterization, they've just been describing a very, very old operating system.
wow. We started by talking about how intellectual property in the world of ideas lacks a clean X-ray. It's usually invisible. But SS-138 just handed us the X-ray, and it's built on Bitcoin ledgers and Sonar math.
They absolutely did.
So,
Giving him
here's
all
a
this
final thought to
gnosis,
take with you today.
his health is now
Next time
affecting
you
him
feel
due to
totally out of
this.
sync with the world around you,
Ill intent?
are you experiencing a
Mm,
profound
could be.
spiritual crisis? Or are you just dealing with a slight signal to radio lag?
You might just be experiencing a hardware synchronization issue.
Exactly.
Mm.
Time to check your drivers. Keep demanding the receipts.
Let's look up some Ken Wheeler here. Thing is, I don't even know what he looks like. I don't remember. Ken Wheeler. Let's see. What is the ether? There we go. Oh, he's got a nice fireside chat. Oh, he seems like a nice guy.
Hey, how you doing? Boy, what a busy day, huh? I gotta go give a lecture next week down in Naples, Florida. Be gone for 5 days.
So, free
What's the
use, we're
thing
just
which is closest to
discussing
the ether?
Ken Wheeler
Yeah, be two
for
terms:
entertainment
a
purposes.
field and energy. So, talk about defining
right.
the ether.
That's some things you find in the ether.
There's no branch of science that's ever defined what a field is or energy. Someone will say, sure they have. You look at Wikipedia, it was the energy is the ability to do work. Yeah. Well, that's descriptive. And descriptions are not explanations. Yeah. So
I believe in the divine law of restitution. Call on it to replenish what is stolen or lost, or replace it with something even better, worth a shot. Nice. No, I think it's a good thing that he's, taking concepts and wrapping them in
define
spirituality. I
energy.
think that's neat.
there have been a few goofy videos recently.
It's a neat way to make it accessible for people, right?
I have a lot of people actually asked me to define the ether.
And I always
First, we
love
have to
different ideas.
start off talking about an axiom of metaphysics that's extremely ancient, belongs to both the Greeks and the Indians. Yep. Of course, India didn't exist back then, I know. And it's this premise in ancient Pali and Sanskrit. It's the asti versus nasti. This means there is, and the other one means there is not. So you're positing something here, and you're negating something there.
Hi,
But you're
Kiki.
making declarative, objective statements about something that you can't make objective, declarative statements about. So a lot of people say, what is the ether? The other one is, what's the ether made of? And I know someone's going to actually be more than one person. Will actually write in this video, say, Michael's and Morley experiment disproved the ether. It actually did no such thing. I've gone into the particulars of the so-called Michelson-Morley experiment many countless times over many years. That's not any dismissal of the ether in any way, shape, or form. Not only that, the experiment itself is extremely crude, and it makes suppositions about the ether such that when they did the experiment, they said, well, this will either prove it or disprove it. Nothing can ever disprove the ether. And might I remind you, and this is incredibly important, and people don't get the importance of this, there's ever, throughout the entirety of history, only been two postulates as the foundation of reality. One's been upon bumping particles, atomism specifically. And the religion of atomism is the realm of mathematicians. Today's scientists are not scientists, they're actually mathematicians. And the other one's been the ether. You can't explain the universe with bumping particles. You can't explain instantaneous action at a distance with particles. You can't ever explain what a field is with particles. These people think that even light's a particle. They even came up with a sound particle. Believe it or not, don't take my word for it, go look it up, called the phonon, which is completely
I agree
ridiculous.
there, Beefree.
By the way, in ancient history, both Greek, Indian, and Egyptian,
I like
there
the
was
bridging of stuff.
literally well over 1,000 different ideas
He's
on
talking
or
about
about the
you?
ether. So when someone says, well, the ancient Greeks said ether was, well, that's a highly ignorant statement because the ancient Greeks made many countless declarative statements depending on which school of thought. The Stoics, the Materialists, the Epicureans, the Platonists, on and on and on and on. So,
All is
the
math.
ether is an objective Cartesian phenomenon that we can make declarative statements about something with mass and magnitude that has volume and or weight. I can make a declarative statement about something that is, this is a rock by the way, declarative statement about something that is, meaning objective, but you can't make
Nice.
any declarative objective statements about the ether. Does this
Everything will
mean
turn out well
you
for you,
can't talk
Kiki.
about it? No, that's not the case. It means, and this is where retroduction actually comes in, and yes, I'm still working on the booklet on retroduction, make understanding retroductive analysis of something that has no objective presence. And this is no different than talking about a signal. You'll say, well, a signal is EMP, it has a certain frequency and wavelength. But in the case of the radio, and once again, the two things that are closest to the ether is the term field and the term energy. And I assure you, you can go look this up. If you want to have a debate with me about it, let's go ahead. I'm all game for that. They've never defined the term energy. They've never defined the term field. I'll tell you what a field is. It's really simple. A field is an ether perturbation modality. Just like ice, water, and steam are different temperature and pressure modalities of water. Expressions or phenomenal expressions of something.
I think so too, Kiki.
So we can't say the ether is, making an objective, declarative statement about something that has mass and magnitude with a Cartesian vector. Well, it's this long, and this is the width, and this is the depth, and it has X mass, on and on and on. So you can't, this is like someone foolishly trying to measure the measurer, you know? I'll remind people, too, that the things that have built the foundation of this entire reality throughout ancient civilization to today are built upon things that nobody can see, nobody can hold, nobody can measure, nobody can lay their hands on. Like love, faith, hope, fear, anger, on and on. There's no...
Yeah, how many things that are based in science now, or called science now, are based on false premise? There's a lot, you know, and people base sciences on it and get grants for it, make a lot of money.
Nobody on this earth that can deny all of civilization is built upon these principles. You know, someone would laugh away the ether, and there are many that have, including some recent videos from some extremely unintelligent people, and there are so many. Yeah. No one goes looking after things that they think they know the answer to. Well, if I can't hold the ether, or see it, or smell it, or taste it, or touch it, or measure it, it can't exist. So you don't love your mother? It's like, what are you talking about? Well, you know, you can't see it, or smell it, or taste it, or touch it. It's not an object, doesn't have length, width, or depth. It has no Cartesian phenomena within the objective universe. Yet, once again, the entirety of this world's been built upon things that have none of those properties. Love, faith, hope, fear, anger, you know, on and on and on and on. And that, of course, is 100% undeniable. So we can't say that the ether is, we can't make declarative statements that people always ask, so what's the ether made of? If the ether were made of, that it would be constituent composite parts, and it would be complete refutation of the ether by definition. So I have to ask you what the question to be posited is, what's the definition of rest regarding energy? And human beings always see things upside down and backwards. They think of energy, and so do you, like a giant mushroom cloud, in the case of like a fissionable core of uranium or plutonium. Oh, look at that. That's the impotency of energy. That's the release of energy. What does pure rest look like? We have to engage the retroductive Pythagorean methodology to come to an understanding, to understand what a field is, to understand what energy is, what is rest. Walter Russell understood this quite well. I don't agree with everything Walter Russell said, but I certainly
Good question, Kiki.
scanned in and digitized his works for the whole world. You're welcome to have access to, and he understood rest really well. He made a lot of diagrams about rest. People say, well, if you can't draw the ether and you can't point to it, it doesn't exist. Well, I could say the same thing regarding your love for your child or the love for your wife or your mother. You know, you can't draw it and you can't point to it and you can't weigh it and you can't see it and smell it and taste. So that is a pedestrian argument by pseudo-intellectuals, specifically by materialists. We actually have to go way beyond something that gross, that base, that profane and material.
Well, he's thought-provoking. When you see the terminology that he uses for his 11th reset, it's my hard lock state persistence, 0 point. So he's sniping your ideas, is he? Let's see, we got to familiarize myself again with Walter Russell. What does he look like? Okay, I think I remember him.
This psychiatrist must have been an amazing human being, because what he did is he started reading some of the text that Dr. Russell was scribbling down. And then he said, no.
Okay, that's not Dr. Russell.
What's going on here, but this man is not losing his mind. It's something profound. Just leave him alone. This psychiatrist must have been an amazing human being.
Who is Walter Russell? Imagine a mind so brilliant it tapped into the secrets of the universe. Walter Russell, a true polymath, achieved incredible success in various fields. His accomplishments are almost unbelievable, and his body of work surpasses that of many. He was the Da Vinci of our age, believing and demonstrating the boundless potential of human thought. He said, "An inner joyousness amounting to ecstasy is the normal condition of the genius mind. Any lack of that joyousness develops body-destroying toxins. His secret, the inner ecstasy of the mind, is the secret fountain of perpetual youth and strength in any man. He who finds it finds omnipotence and omniscience." Russell proclaimed, "I believe that there is but one thinker in the universe, that my thinking is his thinking, and that every man's thinking is an extension, through God, of every other man's thinking. This visionary taught us that each man's exalted thinking can uplift all humanity, like a drop of water lifting the entire ocean." Who is Walter Russell?
Nice. Math ain't where it at. Well, yeah, but you can use math to describe things. That's why people focus on it. Huh? Haven't heard his theories on gravity. I'm kind of a electric universe guy, using his quantum logic to, and they don't really get into the math or the process. Well, it's nothing to argue over, guys. So it's called a difference of opinion. Walter Russell sounds like a pretty intelligent guy. I like listening to all people's ideas. for and against things. Well, we're at 2 hours. Yeah, we'll have to see what these quantum computers end up doing. They're coming up with all different types of them now, so some of them run cool. Some of them run like without supercooling, which is kind of cool. This is base 10 binary thinking gravity. Whereas baseline 12 quantum thinking, you'll find incoherent electrostatic acceleration. I like numerology, my kind of math. We all have different gifts. It would be boring to be all the same. Yeah, it would be. I wouldn't like it. I'd be pretty upset if the only way that the universe was thought of or things happen is the way I thought of them, and everybody else thought the same. I don't know. That'd be pretty boring. We wouldn't get all this content. Going live with your binary bypass logic forensic audit toolkit. Cool. Okay. All right. Come see what it can do. Don't guarantee I'll understand it, but right, Care Bear? Yeah. The first to record principle is the key with state persistence. Well, the eyes of a child. Baby's a little too incoherent to understand what's going on. Yeah, we'll come by and take a look. Well, he won't even talk to Squirrel Sniper. He's blocked him, so. Hard to debate him if he's blocked you. I don't know. I always have trouble getting into math unless I have some like cheat notes, you know. All right, time for a smudge break. You got blocked from his chat. I don't think it's him doing it. Oh, okay. Could be. He's probably got a lot of moderators. I'm barely visible right now myself. It's true if he's got somebody running his site for him. He might not know. He says he doesn't block. Hold on. But then you said you've gotten blocked from his chat. So that's... I believe him unless it's obvious annoying bot. Were you an obvious annoying bot? Yeah, that's what Squirrel's mad about. Yeah. No, he doesn't have help? Well, then, he doesn't have moderators? He watches my channel, deciphers my work, and changes terminology to fit. He has admitted to that and he asked as AI about my work and how to figure it out to fit. Oh, wow. That's kind of cheap. Said he did admit that he does use your work. That's honest, at least. Yeah, no, it's some recognition. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I don't think anybody really at this point comes up with anything that original. We all work off of other people's ideas, you know. You probably had to understand different math to come up with yours, you know. He said it's all his idea. Oh God. Yeah, well, that's just that's wrong. Yeah, I don't think I'll be watching him. But I'm sure he has an interesting take on your ideas. That's unfortunate.
This psychiatrist.
The wisdom of Walter Russell. In his own words, I have found out that the real essentials of greatness in men are not written in books, nor can they be found in the schools. They are written into the inner consciousness of everyone who intensely searches for perfection and creative achievement. Successful men of all ages have learned to multiply themselves by gathering thought energy into a high potential and using it in the direction
There you
the
go,
purpose
Kiki.
intended. Every successful
Just for
man
you and
or
your
great
next
genius
adventure in
has
life.
3 particular qualities in common. The most conspicuous of these is that they all produce a prodigious amount of work. The second is that they never know fatigue. And the third is that their minds grow more brilliant as they grow older instead of less brilliant. Great men's lives begin at 40, whereas mediocre men's lives end. The wisdom of Walter Russell. In his own words, I have found out that the real essence.
The way he does it, he edits the live stream, removes the chat lock. Any ideas in chat? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. I don't know if any of my ideas have been stolen. Interesting. Non-element at the start, the hydrogen. Interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see what you've got later tonight. Sounds like Mrs. Max is starting dinner, so I better get going. It's been great talking to you guys today. Until next time, keep your third eye open. Remember, your intuition might be the only thing saving you.